So good morning, good afternoon, everyone. My name is Jennifer Gill. I'm the Vice President of Marketing here at Skyhawk Security, and I'm joined by Jean Perry, Director of Solutions Engineering. And today we're going to talk about the Synthesis Security Platform and how it can be your compensating control in times of security uncertainty. So I'm going to introduce the speakers. We'll go over who is Skyhawk. We'll look at cloud security struggles by role, and then what we mean by when we say compensating control. And then we'll look at the platform. And then Jean will walk us through a demo. We have a customer case study, and we'll look at how you can engage with us with the Purple Team assessment and visit us at RSA. Okay, so I'm joined by Jean Perry. So Jean and I have known each other for a really long time, actually, and he's been working with customers with over 20 years to help them achieve their business objectives. Jean's familiar with cloud infrastructure, cloud security, data, on-prem, off-prem infrastructure. So all of that is everything Jean can help you with. So Jean, thank you for joining us this morning.
Thank you, Jennifer, and welcome everyone.
And my name is Jennifer Gill. I'm the Vice President of Marketing here at Skyhawk, and I've been in high tech for over 20 years, and I've had various leadership positions at other companies. Okay, so this is just a quick overview on who Skyhawk is if you haven't heard of us. So we're an AI-based cloud security, cloud threat detection and response platform, and we include a continuous autonomous Purple Team. And we'll get into what those things do and how they can benefit you. We have a global customer base. We support all the major public clouds. And you can see we have quite a few awards and recognition. And actually, I have a new one to add here. We were recently shortlisted by the Cloud Security Awards in 4 cloud security categories for 2025. So very happy to get some additional recognition from them. So when we look at the organizations that are involved with cloud security, and it's funny, I was talking with an analyst recently, and they said one of the key issues with cloud security is there's not one person that you can go to and they say, yes, I own this. So the CISO, of course, is responsible for all the security, and they're trying to make sure that the teams understand how cloud DevOps needs to work with the cloud security team and the SOC so that they have a secure business. So when they're generating revenue and sharing information, all the other stuff, it's secure. The SOC has difficulty identifying and addressing issues, and they don't really have the cloud context. And I think this is a very disturbing stat. They're wasting up to 32% of their day on non-threats. The cloud security team doesn't understand that some CSPM findings might not be important. I actually ran into this at reInvent. A cloud developer stopped by and said, we get these alerts from our cloud team from the CNET platform, and it says sandbox right on it. How do I explain to them that even though it looks scary, it's not a priority because it's on the sandbox? And I said, actually, we can help with that. So, and also compliance and security are not the same thing, and the cloud security team doesn't always realize that. And then cloud DevOps is really just trying to do their work. What they're doing is generating revenue for the business and developing platforms and things like that. And it's not always clear to them how what they're doing, because it generates revenue for the business, it could in fact be putting the business at risk. So there's not that one single view of what's happening in the cloud. So, and then we see some of that with our customers, and actually getting back to the example from the customer from reInvent, they came back and said, hey, we had these CNAP issues. It says sandbox right on it. How do we tell them that? Adding another layer of concern with that data point is if we look at how long it takes to support, to resolve these alerts. So it can take up to 128 days on average for critical alerts. So that's almost 4 months. And then high alerts are around a similar time frame. And you can see there from the post online, this was actually on LinkedIn that Zohar mentioned, like it's going to take a long time. And our CEO, Chen Bershin, responded to this because we can help. Because threat actors aren't going to say, we'll wait 128 days and see where they are, and then we'll attack their cloud. They're like, great, this takes 4 months. I can get in there, no problem. So with Skyhawk, we can help you prioritize what needs to be fixed today, explain the difference between a posture finding on the sandbox versus something else in the environment, and help you reduce the MTTR And we can ensure the security of the cloud architecture changes and remains secure even as there are new CSPM findings on a daily basis. So you're going to get new ones every single day because your cloud DevOps team is working on new things and changing the cloud environment. That's going to trigger new CSPM findings. With Skyhawk, we can help you find the ones that are the most important. Okay, so this is the Skyhawk Synthesis Security Platform all in one slide. We're going to go into a little bit more detail on this, but we can really help you identify where the threats are. So we start with an AI-based red team, which executes simulations against the blue team, which is our cloud threat detection response. And that's how we get started at Skyhawk. So we have 3 layers of machine learning and AI models that are sorting through all of the data. So where the red team gets past the blue team, we're able to prioritize that based on the business value of the asset. And so then the outcome is a validated and verified automated response because we've rehearsed the attack in an simulation digital twin environment. So it's all AI. So it doesn't impact production. It doesn't impact your people. You're not going to get a bunch of alerts like you might with another type of pen testing. So you're going to see this happened when they went through this configuration. I don't want them to go further. I know I want them to stop, so I need to raise an alert. I can call a verified response, and we can send things to third-party tools as well. So, and Gene, can you give a little bit more context around the contextual cloud asset inventory?
Sure, yeah, Jennifer. So this will absolutely be explained really clearly in our Purple Team demo, where we show you how we build that digital topology, virtual reality environment of your cloud, connecting all of those dots between roles and policies and assets like EC2s, like databases, RESs, Neptunes, federated roles. All of those cloud elements are all part of that digital topology that the red team then uses to run the simulated attacks based on the methods for initial access and MITRE framework techniques and tactics that it looks to penetrate that virtual reality environment of your cloud and show you those, what I like to refer to as hyper prioritized attacks that really need to be addressed immediately. The only thing separating you from those attacks actually occurring is that the attacker has not been able to breach the perimeter of your cloud environment yet.
Yeah. Okay, great. Thanks. You'll see much more on that in the demo. So our continuous autonomous Purple team helps defend against these AI-based attacks. So this is how the Purple team works. So first, it discovers all the assets within your cloud, as Gene mentioned, and is continuously identifying the crown jewels. And then it looks at what the least resistant paths are to those crown jewels, and then creates an attack recipe. And that's executed against the blue team. And then where the red team gets past the blue team, we can see the posture gaps. We can generate the automated response or remediation recommendations, and then use that to inform the blue team. So the result is you get adaptive CDR, which is tailored detection to your specific cloud infrastructure. No one's cloud looks the same. They all look different. So you need an adaptable model to find where your most susceptible crown jewels are. And with Skyhawk, we can help you do that. So how does the blue team work? So it collects information from all these data sources. So we're looking at logs, telemetry. Other cloud security tools can be a data source like AWS GuardDuty. And then from that, we create a baseline of machine learning models. So these are looking at the behaviors in your cloud. So the data is enriched, and then the baseline models are created. These models are updated every single day to make sure that threat actors cannot reverse engineer them. So we're not looking for patterns in the behaviors. We're using machine learning models and looking at intent. So all that information is correlated into malicious behavior indicators, and those are the bubbles you see here, and you'll see those in the demo as well. So things like, gee, this is anomalous AWS usage. This time is not normal. And now they're accessing an S3 bucket. So we start to correlate all those things into an attack sequence. Once the risk of that sequence reaches a threshold, then we promote it to an alert. And just to give you an idea of the scale of the data that we're looking at. So this is one customer's example. So we had 60,000 interesting events. Now, I'm not going to say in other tools you'll get 60,000 alerts, but you're going to get many alerts from this information. So we get it down to 6,000 anomalies, then 1,200 sequences, then 100 suspected alerts, and then 50 verified alerts. So when you think about the SOC going to that first data point, spending 32% of their day on things that aren't threats, when you're getting 60,000 interesting events in a 30-day time period, that doesn't seem so outrageous, because it's hard to figure out what the relationship is between these things, how they relate to one another, and then dismissing the ones that aren't malicious. It takes time. So with Skyhawk, you were able to get that down to 50 verified alerts over a 30-day period. Now your SOC is probably thinking 60,000 events, I can't possibly sort through all that. But if you told them, gee, could you handle 50 alerts in a 30-day period? They're like, yeah, I can probably do that and be successful. Okay, so with that, I'm going to stop sharing. And I will have Jean share. There we go. All right, so Jean, you should be able to share your screen. Let me know if you can.
Okay, thank you, Jennifer. Here we go. Can you see my screen?
It's
Great.
coming through.
Great.
There we go.
Expand my screen. And so we're going to jump right in here and start with the purple team. For all of our attendees, what you're seeing here are the purple team results or scenarios, as we refer to them, that are updated on a daily basis, because the red teaming is always running, always evaluating the environment, taking into account changes and updates you make in the environment, whether it's permissioned or policy changes, asset changes in terms of perhaps new databases, new snapshots on those databases, EC2s, etc. Before I jump right into one of the examples, I'm just going to explain a couple of the columns that you're seeing here on the screen. I mentioned earlier that in terms of the red team, once that virtual reality digital topology is built, it starts to then apply and look at the environment from an attack perspective, beginning with initial access methods that malicious actors and hackers would use in today's environment to penetrate your cloud environment. They may be, in the case of stolen or phished credentials. You can see some of those methods here. Some of the other interesting things that we do is also integrate with your vulnerability management systems, so that we can also analyze the pertinent and open critical vulnerabilities that have been identified by your vulnerability manager in your environment, and look to evaluate those open CVEs for exactly which ones present the most and highest priority problematic issues to your environment, where infiltration could take place anytime. And also we look at, from a supply chain potential attack perspective, are all of the third-party access options to your cloud. The red team does this from an impact perspective. It's very focused on data exfiltration, as you'll see here, and data encryption, i.e. ransomware. So these are kind of the prioritized methodologies that the red team will look to present you with the highest priority attacks that you're vulnerable to in your environment. And you can see that here listed in the column. We can also filter on these. You'll also see that autonomously, the system, based on changes in your environment, you may look at this from day to day and see some of these, I can see in the column here, some are active and some are closed. The reason why some are closed is because of changes in the environment. So they no longer pose a threat to you in your environment. So the system will automatically update these, so you're not spending time on attacks that are no longer able to impact your environment. Right. So let's jump into one of the examples here. We're going to take a look at a case where, in terms of, you can see the title here, where passing a role to a new instance was able to lead to data exfiltration in this example. The first view, when we open up one of these scenarios that you're going to see, is literally all the dots connected at a high level from the time that the malicious actor breaches the perimeter of your cloud and steps inside the door to your cloud and starts, whether it's assuming roles, passing roles, elevating privilege. You'll see all of those dots connected here step by step through the environment. We can see roles, we can see assets like in this case at EC2, and movement through the environment. We can also see if we see some of the elements here have a little plus sign with a number next to them. If we quickly select that one of those numbers, what we'll see here is all of the assets that in this case database are not only impacted by that single database called enrichments in the environment. I can see that there's a list of and a total of 7 assets in the environment that are susceptible to this attack, right? But we'll see much more of this when we move on to the attack map in a minute. But let's take a look at the red team tab is the next step in the process here, where we'll see step by step in that process, with descriptions on the left of each step, what was done by the attacker in this simulated attack in that virtual reality environment. We can see here where it began and with the presumed credentials accessed through stolen federated credentials and assertion through the SSO interface to your cloud. And then as we move through the environment, you'll see the specific cloud contextual commands that can actually be run against your real cloud as well, should you choose to do that. And we also have a workflow that allows you to schedule the attacks against your cloud. You control those credentials and the scheduling and the communication with your business. The attacks that we're looking at here, I want to be clear on, are all simulated. But we can move step by step through the full attack, and you'll see the complete attack playbook in this case, culminating step by step with finally the data exfiltration as the final step in the attack. If we move on to and take a look at the Security Advisor tab, this is really where we get our view into what are the next steps, what's the actionability that I can and need to take to prevent this attack when the time comes that an attacker actually steps through the door to my cloud environment and breaches my perimeter. Because it's really not a question of if, but when, and we want to make sure that we're as prepared as possible for that. So in this case, I won't read through the entire storyline to you, but if you see, one of the critical things that occurred here is towards the bottom of the storyline, where role assumption to a particular Terraform role is what enabled the database snapshots to be created and exfiltrated, and then data exfiltrating or exposing that data through those snapshots to copy data externally. Right. If we take a look at the attack map here, this is where we show you that really topological, all of the connection points of the major elements in this attack, from those roles that we saw, the EC2 instance, and all of those. And you'll see that the reason why some of the sizes differ here, the critical thing to note here is where we'll see the attack vectors really start to show you the choke point and help focus on where the potential changes need to be in the environment. And you can see that here as we highlight the attack vectors. Now, what's interesting about this attack is when I highlight that Terraform role, this is where I can see the direct access to all of those RDS database instances that enable the snapshots to be created through this role here. So let me stop there for a moment and move back to the summary of the scenarios. Also, what we can see that's updated on a daily basis is a full Purple Team assessment of the environment. And this is really a roll-up of all those results that we just saw that really, really highlights everything for you. Here I can see that there are currently 224 scenarios or results. Those 224 scenarios, while if I clicked on each one, there's that single timeline connecting the dots attack path, but actually associated to these 224 scenarios are almost 220 attack vectors that I can see here in the attack paths. From a crown jewel perspective, the system automatically by default denotes all of your data assets in your cloud environment, in this case S3 buckets, databases that exist in the environment as crown jewels. I can also very easily tweak the system and create my own business priority or crown jewel priority list by tagging very specific assets, whether it's a single database or a single bucket, or I can actually tag a full and complete application as a crown jewel. And then I'll see those rolled up here in terms of my active attacks. What are my top crown jewels at risk in these 224 attacks? I can also see from a supply chain perspective, where are my top third-party risks in the environment? And then a breakdown of all those attacks by both impact in terms of data exfiltration and entry point in terms of CVEs or third-party or credential theft. All right. If we move back to the blue team side of the equation in terms of our live continuous threat alerting. Now, what we're going to move to here are our live threat alerts. These are not simulated alerts in the environment. These are actual real alerts to note in the environment. If we take a look and move into one of these, a couple of things that you'll see with our alerts that separate us. Jennifer started talking about and covered some of this in the initial slides, but this is where in an actual alert, you see that we've already done a lot of the what we call sequencing or connecting the dots for you. Every single step as part of the attack, and also from a real-time basis, new steps in this attack in real time would be added and updated to the alert. But I can see all the connection points here. I can see additional attack vectors as they're created. In this case, I can also then select any one of these indicators within the sequence and see all of the forensics that are also included in the alert with each of the indicators. Everything from, as you can see here, source IPs, user agents, APIs that were accessed as part of that, or in this case, the token service that's noted here. I can also, besides drilling into each of these indicators, I can switch to my table view that shows me all of those indicators in a listed table where I can now expand and see all of those forensics and details, and really tying the entire story together for me here. And these are a standard part of every alert that we'll provide you. The security advisor option that you see here in our alerts is really focused on, from a SOC efficiency perspective, right? Telling each alert, not only from a summary perspective, but a detailed storyline of each alert in natural language, really helping enable your security analysts to very quickly copy paste and create their incident reports with a prepared storyline of the full alert here right in the UI. All right, so let me stop there. Jennifer, was there anything you wanted to add at this point?
No, I think that was great. And the topology map was really, really interesting. I think that's a great way to kind of show really the power of like how everything connects and how we really show how one little anomaly, if that's fixed, it shuts down all those vectors.
Right. It really does, and to try and, to try and do something like that by hand or on a whiteboard, is really,
Not possible. I
it
mean,
is really not even possible, and certainly just from one attack instance, but when we talk about in this case, where we're looking at literally 224
yeah,
in this environment.
yeah, yeah. It's really comprehensive. It's really interesting. Okay, great. Um, all right. So I'm going to share my slide again, or you do want to show something else here, Gene? Or you just moving
Okay,
things
no,
around to make it.
I'll stop sharing. There you go,
Okay.
Jennifer.
All right. No. No pressure. Okay, so let's get back to the slide deck, and we just have a couple more slides. I did want to show um, a webinar we did in January with IBEX. So we had a CISO there. People were asking him questions. It was really a great webinar. He did a great job. His name is Shlomi Ciesler, and he's the CISO at IBEX Medical. So here's some of the benefits that they saw. So they can save a lot of time with accurate prioritization. So they just meet every morning and kind of look at the purple team and look at the alerts, and they're able to really see what's happening in the environment. So instead of feeling they don't know what to do, they know exactly where things are happening and what they need to focus on. So the pen testing, so that shows them the full view of issues. I think one thing in the cloud, because it's so easy for someone to just spin something else up, it's hard to know where things, the limits and where all the assets are. So the pen testing really gives a full view. And then you can see the quote that they're able to be proactive with their cloud security. And that's just hard to do. So I encourage you to go to our YouTube channel and check out that webinar. So it was really a great session. And this is kind of just everything in a nutshell. So we're able to reduce risk to the business. So you're able to focus on the weaponized threats. And you saw that with kind of the topology map that Gene even showed, like where is the one choke point that's going to shut down all those attack vectors? Focus on that first. And we can show you how to do that. We can also show you how to prioritize the threats to your crown jewels. We have our interactive CDR. So there's a press release on that on our website where it gives you zero trust principles incorporated into your threat detection. So we're able to reduce automated response to seconds. And the context really drives the collaboration. And we talked about that right at the beginning, that if you ask who's responsible for the cloud security, there are many people in that realm. So with our single platform, we're able to show you, here's the choke point, here's what's happening, this is what needs to be addressed. And then for the CISO with the Purple Team Assessment Report, so you see ours trends differently because it's a demo environment. We want it to look kind of in a certain way. But in your environment, as you address those choke points, you'll see those trend lines go down. So the CISO has a report that they can put in front of the board and really show, here's how we're reducing the overall risk profile of the cloud environment. So for next steps, the Purple Team Assessment, that's a free assessment that we'll do for you. So actually, I will say Gene, it won't be me. So onboarding just an hour, and then they'll go through the business priority rules, and you'll be able to see where the weaponized threats are in your environment really fast. So, and you'll get that report, and that's for free. And we also have another free offering, which is a subscription for 30 days. So you can try the full product for free for 30 days. So we really believe in the product and we want you to try and experience it as well. And we think you'll be pleased. And then lastly, join us at RSA. We're going to be at booth 5173. This is us last year. So, and you can see we had our Cloud Security Award there, Cloud Security Innovator of the Year. So, and as I mentioned right at the beginning, we were shortlisted in all 4 categories that we applied for this year. So that's great. So I will stop sharing. We have a couple questions. So if you have any questions, please go ahead and put them in the Q&A. So the first question, and I can answer this one, is how is your product licensed? So we're licensed by cloud asset. So like EC2 instance, S3 bucket, etc. So that's how we license the product. And then the more assets that you have, we do volume-based discounting. So it's a very simple price model. Okay. The next one is for Eugene. So it asked, what kind of third-party integrations do we have for notifications and other ways to communicate on the alerts?
Yeah, great question, Jennifer. I'll answer this question first, and then I'd like to make a comment on the licensing question that
Oh, sure.
you mentioned. But so in terms of integrations, we have certainly all the basics like email can literally be set up in seconds with a couple of clicks. And we also have built-in integrations with other communication platforms like Slack and Teams. And also we should note, I think it's important that from a ticketing perspective, in terms of alerting or the Purple Team scenario results, those can all be sent into whatever workflow the security team is using today, whether it's a SIEM like a Splunk or a Sumo Logic. We can send all of our findings out to those workflows. We can also send them to from a ticketing system. Systems like ServiceNow, Azure DevOps, I mentioned Slack, Jira, and also we can send all the findings to any system that accepts webhook. We can also send generically by standard webhook as well. And so I think that covers the integration question. I just did want to mention on the licensing, because it can be confusing to customers sometimes. While you're absolutely correct, we do license by cloud asset. However, not every asset in the cloud, we don't consider every asset a licensable asset.
Oh, yeah.
Right. So yeah, the primary assets are really databases and compute instances. So you mentioned EC2s, databases like Neptune, RDS, etc.
Yeah, actually, so I didn't mention, so like, for example, Lambda, those are so small. We don't license per Lambda. It's 50 Lambda count as one cloud asset.
Right, yeah, those are ratioed. Same thing with containers and Kubernetes. They're on a task ratio of like 20 to 1. So you're absolutely correct. So we tried to simplify it and keep it simple, and one SKU for everything in the platform.
Yeah, okay. So we don't have any other questions. So I will let everyone go, but I just want to stress again, Purple Team Assessment and the subscription are both free of charge. We really believe once you try the platform, you'll be impressed. So please reach out to us. You can reach out through the website, and I'm sure you'll be getting a follow-up email with a recording. You can reply to that, and we would really love to see you try the product. We think you'll be impressed. So Jean, thank you for doing this webinar with me. Lovely as always.
Thank you, Jennifer, and thank all the attendees. It was great being here with you this morning.
Yeah. All right. Thank you so much, everyone. Have a great day.